And welcome into a Tuesday edition of the Backstage Pass, always presented by our good friends over at Bangtail Whiskey. Check them out. EasyLiquor.com is the best place to get that bottle sent directly to your door. And, of course, MitchMacs.com, that place for Backstage Pass, merchandise, coffee mugs, men's, ladies' apparel, and a whole lot more. And, of course, our good friends out of Florida at HankJrProductions.com. Our good friend Henry Herrera does a great job with videography, podcasting, and a great photography company. Seems like every time I look up, he's actually shooting another artist or a couple getting married out of Florida. So keeping Hank Jr. Productions very busy there. Pleased to welcome in here on a Tuesday a guy that I have a tremendous respect for, and he's done a lot of writing and playing and touring, nearly a decade of that. And he's joining us today to talk about a great song out there, which is While She's Mine, and there's a good reference to that song. Paul Bogart joins us here on the Backstage Pass. So, Paul, how's it going?
Man, I'm good, Brandon. It's good to be here. You guys have been good to us, and we sure appreciate the extra help in promoting songs. And as difficult as this business sort of is, just to tell the world about what we've got going on as artists, we are grateful for you guys and Backstage Pass and sharing While She's Mine and other singles that we put out. So it's good to be here.
Yeah, tell me about your story, because you've done a lot of things. I mentioned the writing, the touring, and the playing for a decade, and now catching on with a lot of the social media platforms for the Cowboy Way and Cowboy Ride, and so many, 2.5 million views across different social platforms. You always knew you had this kind of talent, the connection, the story. I want to hear about this because you've got so much of that traditional 90s feel of country in you. Where did the music bug, or kind of when did it bite?
Early on in life, my mom played piano at the church house. So, and I think that's the story of a lot of artists, church music growing up around be it singing in the choir, singing on stage. It's an opportunity to make music. And mom was prepping, all the piano pieces each week. And so there was just music in the house all the time. And along with the cowboy stuff, so my dad, when I was just a kid, my dad owned and operated a purebred and registered Angus operation, and so we were always around the cowboy lifestyle, and that kind of morphed into the team roping and calf roping and rodeo, and I got really big into that when I was, I don't know, middle school even, and then just it expanded, and I worked at it high school and college. I paid my way through college, a rodeo scholarship. I know that sounds probably a little bit weird, but rodeo, paid my way through school, and I'm still getting to rope a good bit now. Life is it looks different when you add 3 little kids to the mix. My wife and I have 2 boys and a little girl. Our oldest just turned 6, and then our middle son just turned 4, and then we have a little girl that's about a year old. So it's interesting how, as life changes and shifts, what you as a songwriter will write about. I know that the cowboy way of life. You mentioned the cowboy way, or the other. I think you mentioned Cowboy Ride. That is all part of life, and it's just interesting how now, with the addition of 3 little Bogart babies, I tend to lean more towards that side and write in that direction, and thus, While She's Mine is this latest single, and it's a song for Gentry, our daughter. So
yeah.
Anyway.
I love the story, and that's where I connected so much with it. When Jenny sent it over to me, Jenny was at 117. A lot of good friends over there, Zach Farnham, and just so many great people that work at that company. We had a lot of their great artists here on the show. I connected so much with that song. We're here, you sing it here, coming up a little bit in the program. I want to go back first to Leather, because that's when I first discovered you as an artist, and that whole album. Take me through the process of that particular album, putting that together, working with some amazing talent on that record. There's 10 great songs on there. When the Cowboys Are Gone really stood out for me, was just something that I compared it a little bit to a Texas artist down here I'm good friends with. who's been doing a lot of great things. Josh Ward, and I loved Leather and
Oh
how
yeah,
there was a
yeah.
lot of good connections with the music you chose to put on there. Walk me through that as far as the selection of songs and the great team members and cast you got to work with in putting this record together.
Sure. Yeah, so just to right off the bat, tipping my hat here to Dale Libby. Dale, he was just helping sort of manage the project and helping me as not we weren't really necessarily hunting for a bunch of songs together, but Dale was at Sony Music in Nashville for years and years and years. He and Deb House and Pepper Myler, they helped kind of connect me with Trent Willman, and Trent has got to be a great friend of mine, and cowboy guy. He's a Texan, proud Texan.
Yeah.
But just Trent and Lizzie are great folks, and I have enjoyed getting to know them. But yeah, so as you know, Trent produces, among others, he produces Cody Johnson, and the list is starting to go on and on now. But we got together, and Trent helped me pick 10, just narrow it down to 10 songs, which is difficult. Good gracious. I mean, I write a lot. And it's interesting. It's funny almost. You'll get calls from different writers who are, maybe they're a new writer and like, hey, I wrote this. For me, oftentimes, I wrote this cowboy song and I think it just fits you like a glove. Can I send it to you? Yes, you can send it, but just so you'll know, in the last 2 years, I've written 100 songs. And I've only put out, of those 100, I've only put out whatever it is, 7 of my own songs. And just so you'll know, it's not that I don't like your song. It's not that I don't like my songs. It's just I've got to pick in my opinion, and the producer's opinion, Trent Willman, we got to pick the best 10 or 12 or whatever it is. And so, and then Jack Clark, Jack engineered the project. He always does amazing work. He's worked with everybody from Willie Nelson to Cody Johnson. Jack's a fabulous engineer in Nashville. And anyway, and the guys in the band were just great players. Justin Ostrander played guitar. We had what is Evan's last name? Pet Hutchings. We had him on drums. Just really some great players. Carl Miner played acoustic and played resonator. He played on All That Cowboy Jazz. That first solo on All That Cowboy Jazz, Carl played on resonator guitar, and it was just it just blows my mind how the amazing players on this album. And then so another one, Buckaroo Lullaby, is a song on that album, and I wrote that song with Bill White for my first son, for Jet. And shortly after Jet was born, it was kind of funny. My wife and I, we sing a lullaby to our kids whenever we put them down for bed. And Jet, whenever his mom would, Tanya would put him down to bed, she would sing "I Love You, a Bushel and a Peck." Cute little song, fun little song for a mother to sing to her little baby, and not necessarily a lullaby, but it works. So it's a cute little song. Well, I was singing, who is it? I want to say Marty Robbins, but that's regardless. Old Red, not the Blake Shelton, not the George Jones. Old Red. It's I think it's Marty Robbins. Anyway, you can look it up. Old Red, and it's about this horse and rider, bronc rider, Billy McLean, and they had this infamous bronc ride where this horse bucks across the pen, and neither of them had. The horse hasn't been ridden. The rider's never been thrown. Long story short, they die together in the arena, and they bury this horse and rider in the wild, out in the Wild West. And it's like, this is not a lullaby. I'm a songwriter. I need to write my son his own lullaby. So that was Buckaroo Lullaby. And we had Janae Fleener and Nick Palmer played. Nick he's played in my band for years and years. He's a great guitar player. So we kind of spread out some players on different songs, what we felt like would lend themselves best to those specific songs. But
No, it's a fantastic album. And like I said, it's very, very comparable to, like I said, this type of music that Josh puts out here in Texas. Josh has been around for a long time. Good friends of him. Been out to so many shows for Josh, and definitely he's working with. I mean, Wyatt McCubbin and so many great songwriters up there too that do so many great things. So I commend you all putting together one hell of a project too, no doubt.
Thank you.
Talk about '90s country and your sound being the Paul Bogart sound, and really for me, I don't like to compare, but sometimes we get caught up in that game of, well, they sound
Sure.
like this, but that, and I'm like, no, it's Paul Bogart. It's not anybody else but him. When I look back at it and I say to myself, it's always good to put out great songs too. Musically, being influenced growing up, who were some of yours in that '90s country era?
Oh, I mean, probably it's your quintessential, the country icons from that era. George Strait and Garth Brooks and well, I'll back up and even say, growing up where I grew up and on the small ranch that I grew up on, one of the artists was Chris Ledoux, and Chris Ledoux was constantly on the playlist. But I loved, even before that, it was the Bob Wills, it was the Patsy Cline. I loved old school Willie Nelson. My granddad loved old country music, so my mom's dad, and he played a role in shaping what I even still like to listen to. Don Williams was, I think Don Williams was my first ever concert to go to, and I went with my granddad when I was an early teenager to the Cain's Ballroom in Tulsa, and just getting to hear Don Williams sitting on this padded bar stool. He sat down to play, and Don Williams is one of my all-time favorites, and we try to cover some of his songs whenever we play live. But and looking back now, it's shaped, his music specifically shaped who I am as an artist, and even sometimes like how I sing. I sing a lot of demos for writers, and I've heard it. People say they've compared me to Don Williams, which is a beautiful compliment, and I'm grateful. But getting to hear him at such an early age play at the Cain's Ballroom, and now being an artist myself, having been able to play at the Cain's Ballroom is a kind of a neat, surreal, bucket list checkpoint on venues that I have always wanted to play. So but there's at least a few artists.
That's a few right there. And some damn good names, no doubt about it. Don Williams, one of the greatest of all time to lace up a pair of boots and start singing that traditional country music. Well, I tell you that the single's fantastic. We're going to talk about my connection to it here a little bit, which we did talk about before the show. While She's Mine is currently across all the digital platforms. Again, thanks to Bangtail Whiskey, MitchMacs.com, and Hank Jr. Productions for all the support here for the show, my friend. If you got that guitar near you, go ahead and grab that son of a gun, because we're going to fire it up today and hear a couple of songs on the show today. Again, it's Paul Bogart. It is the Backstage Pass. So don't forget, coming up today at 1:30, tremendous artist in her own right, Emily Ann Roberts, is going to join us here on the program at 1:30 today. And tomorrow we'll have a couple of shows. And on Thursday, we're going to wrap it up with Kylie Morgan and then take a little vacation, which is always a good thing. So, Paul, it's all yours. And, good place to start is that single, right?
I'm just listening to you talk right there. You are one busy guy.
We stay. Well, you get used to doing this for the last 3 years, and and of course, I didn't even talk about the giveaway, which I got to give away some tickets to a show coming up out of San Antonio, Texas. We'll talk about that after Paul's performance here. But I was say you can play guitar. I can't, but I can host a podcast. It's muscle memory, and everything else just takes care of itself. So.
Well, more power to you, man. And again, I appreciate what you're doing for country music and for artists like myself. So thank you.
No problem, my friend. It's all yours. And take it away.
You mentioned that you have a 2-year-old little girl. Is that right?
I do. Yeah, she'll be April 2nd. She'll be 2 years old. Yep.
Man, okay. So I have a little girl. Her name's Gentry. She was born on January 7th. About a year ago, a little over a year ago now, and I knew that. So I wrote a song for Jet, Buckaroo Lullaby. We mentioned that earlier, and I wrote that song with Bill White, and then I wrote a quick story about Ace Bogart. Ace was the song I wrote about Ace again with Bill White was he was born in the car on the way to the hospital at 100 miles an hour. My wife delivered her own baby all by herself, just absolutely crazy, miraculous, most terrifying 22 minutes of my entire life. So I wrote that song for him, and I knew there was one in there, to write for my daughter. And it would eventually come out. And I was driving down the road, and I started writing the song, and I got to finish the first verse and started kind of working on the, moving along in the song, and had really a good idea on where I wanted to take the song. And I made myself stop. And I called Bill White. I said, hey, it wouldn't be right for me to pin this one without you, since he's written the other two songs with me for Jet and Ace. So anyway, I wrote this one with Bill, and we released it on Gentry's birthday this year, January 7th. So
I love it.
This is called While She's Mine.
Here we go.
On January 7th, not all that long ago, it was the first day that I met her. I couldn't wait to take her home. Her mama was so brave, and she labored through the work. We all held our breath until she finally took her first. While she's mine, I'll watch her run and play. While she's mine, I'll cherish every day. And I know she's gonna grow up, soon she'll fly away. So I'll hold her close till she has to go. While she's mine, she smiles just like her mom when she looks at me. God knows I love to hold her, sing her off to sleep. There seldom is a morning when I bow my head to pray that I don't thank Him for the blessing that He sent us that day. While she's mine, I'll watch her run and play. While she's mine, I'll cherish every day. And I know she's gonna grow up, soon she'll fly away. So I'll hold her close till she has to go. While she's mine, and I pray she finds a young man who loves her just like me. But I'm not in a hurry. While she's mine, I'll watch her run and play. While she's mine, I'll cherish every day. And I know she's gonna grow up, soon she'll fly away. So I'll hold her close till she has to go. While she's mine.
And you gotta love it. I'd say if that don't hit you, I don't know what will when it comes to either being a parent or connecting with something of that magnitude. I tell you, what a hell of a song. Commend you on the great writing, and
Thank you.
man, just being a father, it gave me chills as you were singing it. Just as much as I've listened to the recorded version, so many times. Back here with Paul Bogart. It is the Backstage Pass presented by our good friends over at Bangtail Whiskey. Check them out, easyliquor.com, to get good bottle sent directly to your door. It's 100% 90 proof out of Orlando, Florida. Got that corn mash taste. It's very good, no doubt. And, of course, Hank Jr. Productions and our friends over at MitchMacs.com, the official merchandise provider of the Backstage Pass. Some cool men's and ladies apparel, coffee mugs, all that good stuff out there. I feel it so much. It's just amazing how a song like that really, really comes to life. And I was going to ask you, too, I know you guys have probably put that out or will be putting that out to radio, because back in my day when I would DJ and I hear something like that come on, it would just capture me and the audience and country music fans and crank it up, and you hear something like that and you should as a music fan automatically connect. So definitely is there a push going to radio for that? I mean that's a
there is we've just got a small independent team as far as promotions and radio promotions for that matter, and we've gotten some love. There's a handful of stations that I know are spinning the tune, and obviously we're grateful for any of those opportunities. But that song, what I told my team right off the bat was like, look, I'm putting this song out for Gentry. It's not this particular song is not about the numbers for me. It's not about how many spins we can get. It's not about who's winning on this one. I want to put this song out for my daughter as a gift to her. And if millions of people love the song, awesome. If only she loves the song, awesome. Because it's for her. And I went into this one with a totally different mindset than I've ever gone into another release. And honestly, Brandon, it was pretty freeing. Because we as artists, we are concerned about the numbers. We are concerned how many spins and streams and whatever we get. And this one, truly, I couldn't tell you how many streams it's gotten. I haven't even looked because I think I can truthfully say it doesn't.
Yeah.
Again, it's not that I don't care. I don't want to say I don't care, because I do want people to love the song. But more than anything else, it's for her and my little girl. It's her song. So to hear that it is connecting with people, as always, as a writer, as an artist, you always want your music to connect. So the fact that it worked with you as a media outlet, as a listener of country music, it's good. It's always good to hear. It's encouraging to me to hear that one of my songs connected with folks. So anyway, thank you for that.
Being a new parent, it did. It was an immediate connection, man. Like snap of a finger. It was pretty easy, no doubt.
Sure.
Well, yeah, it really was. We'll take a quick time out, come back, talk about more of just writing music and getting into. I know you've written songs for the greats, Porter Wagner and Roger Krager, Texas guy Kevin Fowler, who had on the show here, and one of my good friends coming up here in a few weeks. We do have this ticket giveaway I'm going to talk about, and he's actually going to perform in San Antonio. You've written songs with him, a guy by the name of, you probably know pretty well, Wade Hayes is going to be on the show here toward the end of the month. And we're doing a little giveaway for some concert tickets coming up April 2nd, Pedrati's Ranch in San Antonio, Texas. It'll be two guys joining us that day, Wade Hayes and Rick Trevino. So definitely
very cool.
Some cool things, giving away some tickets, some meet and greet passes, stuff like that. But I want to talk about writing those songs for those greats right there, no doubt, and people that have been doing it a long time, especially maybe a good Porter Wagner story. We'll take a time out here on the Backstage Pass. It's Brandon. It's Paul Bogart here, of course, presented by Bangtail Whiskey, MitchMacs.com, and our good friends at Hank Jr. Productions. We're coming right back after a word from our sponsors. Stay tuned.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause, Jeff McMahon, as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass. And back here on the show again, it's Brandon. It is Paul Bogart joining us here. It is the Backstage Pass, of course, and thanks to Bangtail Whiskey, MitchMacs.com for official Backstage Pass merchandise and our good friends over at Hank Jr. Productions. Yeah, we do those shows 3:30 to 6:30, somewhere in there, Monday through Friday. But, of course, vacation, I get to set my own times, which is a good thing with that. So we get a few matinee shows. 1:30 today, Emily Ann Roberts. You may know her from The Voice. She's going to stop by. I got to see her perform when I was at Nashville at CRS, and what a fantastic full band show she put on at Old Red, Blake Shelton's bar there on Broadway here. Back here with Paul Bogart. I was saying before I went to break, I mean, you've written all these songs, and you mentioned about releasing only 7 or 8 of them over the last couple of years, but writing specifically for those names, Porter Wagoner, Wade Hayes, the greats out there, Roger Krager, Kevin Fowler. Tell me about just that particular side of it, your favorite part of the writing process, and, just bringing something to life that other artists can go record and attach to their records.
It's music is a gift. It truly is, and I'm trying to teach that to my kids. And one of my boys just loves to sing. He'll be singing just while he's outside playing, or he loves to sing, and I'm trying to instill in them that it really is. Music is a gift, and it's a way that we can express ourselves. It's a way that music connects with us emotionally. And I feel like the writing process, I don't typically sit around and try to write a song for, I'm going to specifically write this song for, pick one. Mm-hmm. Cody Johnson.
Yeah.
I normally will write because it's something I know about. I will say that Trent Willman and I wrote the Kevin Fowler tune. It was and it was Trent's idea. He said, "Man, hey, they're needing some songs. You want to write this? I got kind of an idea for their project they're putting out." And it's the song's called "Pretty Dang Bueno." It's sort of a silly song, and it fits right in their they go down to the Caribbean and put on these big fancy music fests, and they cut the fire out of it. They did a great job, and it's always a thrill to hear something that you've written, and when an artist makes it their own and cuts the fire out of it. That's a feather in your cap. It was, one of my favorite songs. You mentioned Porter Wagoner and the other artists, but Red Steagall recorded a song that I actually wrote with Shane Miner, yep, and Trent Willman. And Shane he's a great writer, super successful writer in town, and obviously Trent is an artist himself and a producer and writer, and we wrote a song and Red Steagall recorded it. And Red Steagall is an artist that I've looked up to my whole life. I mean, since I was just a little kid, and yep. I mean, Red is not only is he an artist, he is a writer himself, a great writer. Mm-hmm. And also a radio personality, cowboy. He's a man's man. I mean, just a really authentic, great guy. And to have a guy like that record one of your songs is truly an honor. He put it out on this last record he did. I guess it was maybe 2019, 2020. Mm-hmm. But you mentioned earlier Porter Wagoner. This was so surreal. A name like Porter Wagoner recording one of your songs. I had just moved to Nashville. I mean, I think I'd been there maybe a summer. Mm-hmm. And I was writing songs with everybody I could write with, and sort of fell into a room with a guy named Charlie Craig. And Charlie, he's an old, Charlie's has passed away, but he was an old school writer that wrote, he had lots of success. He wrote Wanted for Alan Jackson, Wanted, one good-hearted woman, just iconic songs like that. But Charlie, we got together on this song and had no idea. It's a tragically sad song. I've stopped playing it. It's such a sad song, and we kind of just intertwined this story around the death of a child, and just a tragically sad song. Again, people requested my live shows, and I'm like, I don't. First of all, I don't. Now that I'm a dad, I don't know that I can literally make it through the song. But then also, it just kills your show because it's so sad. And writing it, I just remember thinking, "What are we doing? What are we doing here?" And when Porter Wagner called and he asked if he could record it, I just thought, I guess that's what we're doing. Charlie, the old pro, is trying to coach a new guy in town, and that was my first cut as a writer in Nashville. And
wow.
Porter Wagner song, pretty wild. But anyway, now the whole process, the creative process is a fascinating process. How you get ideas, or you get a melody in your head, and I don't have the answer on what do you do first? I don't know. Sometimes you get a lyric and you get hung up on a lyric and you write it down, and sometimes you get a melody in your head and I will say I enjoy writing driving down the road. You sit there and hold it between the ditches and come up with ideas to write. So
it's always fun, and like you said, everybody has a different perspective on it too. At the same time, those hooks and those melodies, and grab the phone, type it in the notes page,
right.
Old school, some of them. Paper, pencil, that kind of thing too. Well, I tell you what, I want to talk a little bit about. We got about 5-6 minutes left in the show. I want to have you sing one. And then, like I said, Dealer's Choice, have you play one for us here. And then Won't Have Far to Go, the album you guys put out in 2020, a couple of tracks, Mothers and Sons, stood out to me. And then I loved just a lot of the music, again, you guys put out there for that particular album. Kind of want to get some insight on that a little bit. But, yeah, the show's all yours again as far as the performance. And what are we going to hear?
Man, maybe we'll keep it in the vein of parents and children here. Why not? I alluded to this story earlier, introducing Gentry's song, While She's Mine. So our son Ace was born in the car on the way to St. Thomas in Nashville. And so, quick story, Tanya and I, she was full term. We had our bags packed, ready to go to St. Thomas. And I had routed that route over and over. It takes 30 minutes from where we lived. And so we can do this, we're ready to go. And anyway, she was asleep. We were both asleep in our bed at the house. And at 11:20, she woke up to go to the bathroom. And on her way to the bathroom, her water broke. And she woke me up. It's like, hey, it's time right now. We got to do this. So a neighbor was on call. We called the neighbor. She came down. She sprinted down the road to stay with our 2-year-old who was asleep. And we were gone in 5 minutes. So again, we were asleep at 11:20, and 11:42, we had a little naked, soaking wet baby. Thank God, a crying baby in the front seat. She's holding this little baby, and I'm thinking, this is the most. Just here's the song.
Here we go.
This is called The Ballad of Exit 199. It goes a little something like this. Well, she was 9 months pregnant when we went to sleep that night, and at 11:20 p.m. I was awoke. She was headed for the bathroom when she shouted out to me, "Paul, my water's broke, it's time to go." Well, the good news is the bags we needed were already packed and waiting in the trunk of the getaway car. So So faster than a tire change at Talladega, we were gone. She said it's happening now, and I heard her breathing hard. It was 30 minutes to Deliveryville, but at 100 miles an hour, it ain't that far. At exit 192, I-40 eastbound, her first contraction hit and darn near stopped my heart. I was gorilla glued to that steering wheel when I came to realize those Lamaze classes were a waste of money and time. And my wife confirmed that loudly when the next contraction hit and exit 196 went flying by. Now every 20 seconds it was like a siren going on, and her forecast was mostly clear and loud. And it went up 20 decibels at mile marker 198 when she yelled, "Paul, the head is out!" I didn't have a catcher's mitt, so what's a cowboy to do? Well, I was mulling over options when the answer presented itself, and it sounded something like this. Swoosh. I got St. Thomas on the phone, said the boys were coming in hot. I poured more gas on that four-door runaway train. Well, then she calmly said, slow down a little. Might as well take your time now. And I thought to myself, I wish she'd done the same. Now, Ace Bogart arrived at 11:42 p.m. 7 pounds, 10 ounces, and 19 inches long. Me and Tanya got a healthy little cowpoke. Thanks to God. And y'all, you got this funny song. Someday they'll ask him where he was born, and I know what his answer will be. Exit 199, I-40 eastbound, Music City, Nashville, Tennessee.
I love it, man. That's a story to tell as they get older, and what a song, man. The Ballad of Exit 199, incredible. Back here with the super talented Paul Bogart. It is the Backstage Pass, so be sure to check him out for merchandise and music out there. PaulBogart.com, and of course, thanks to Bangtail Whiskey, MitchMacs.com, and our good friends over at Hank Jr. Productions. We'll play a little break for our sponsors here in just a little bit, and come back, do a little rapid fire with Paul, and have a little fun with little series of funny questions, we get to ask and kind of get to know you more on a personal basis. But what a tune, man, to sing as he gets older, and amazingly, you put some fantastic songs. That's on the record. I was going to go with Won't Have Far to Go. Just some great tunes. That one, Mothers and Sons, and of course, one of my favorites was When She Gets a Hold on You, no doubt. Just a great record. It had to be fun in the studio to record that one too, right?
You know, it really was, and it was a little bit of a different process. We put it out right kind of in the middle of COVID, so it was a very interesting and totally different process than any sort of recording of a record prior to that. And it was, on one hand, it was a little disheartening just because it's the masks and all that, that part of the creative process as far as recording a song that you've written and you've only ever heard it like this. You've only ever heard this song with a guitar over your knee. And then to get to hear that a band make it a song, that is my favorite part of the creative process. And it was so very, very different that the whole process was just with the COVID junk and the masks and all the stuff. But on the other hand, it was such a beautiful experience because here we hadn't worked for months. I hadn't gotten to see my guys in the band, and I used my band, my road band, for an awful lot of that album, and so it was a beautiful thing because it was like a reconnection for me and my band, and it was a reminder that this is a gift to get to record music. So it was a little different this go around as far as recording that record, and really it was due to the COVID pandemic. But again, thankful for that one. Really proud of it. I'm glad we were able to put that one out. And yeah, I'm glad you like it, man. Thank you.
As I said, man, anything I like ends up on my playlist, and people know I've got over 2,000, 2,500, something like that on the songs that back in audio shows, things sent to us, MP3s, you just keep it on the iPhone and it stores it to the cloud, and it's amazing how quick that thing comes to life. So the long drives that I have, we go travel to do the show or, go to some shows, take video for concerts, things like that, just that playlist keeps repeating. So I definitely had put it on there when you guys had put that out right before COVID, and of course the 2017 album Leather, which was fantastic out there. We'll take one quick timeout. Bangtail Whiskey, and of course MitchMacs coming right back. Rapid fire with Paul Bogart. He's going to pass the test. I promise no SAT questions on there too as well. Thanks to Bangtail Whiskey and MitchMacs. And don't forget today at 1:30, Emily Ann Roberts, another fantastic talent who was on The Voice just a few years ago, is going to stop by. And if you've never heard of her, you might want to stick around. There's a song called Change My Tune that got a lot of people on recognition out there when it came down to it, and put people on notice of who she was. More with Paul here on the Backstage Pass. Hang tight.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause, Jeff McMahon, as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass. And back here on the show again, it's Paul Bogart. It is the Backstage Pass. Again, coming up today at 1:30, Emily Ann Roberts is going to join us tomorrow. Another good one coming up as a matinee show. The nephew of Kenny Rogers, Dan Rogers, is going to stop by here on the Backstage Pass. And, of course, on Thursday, Kylie Morgan doing some fantastic things with smack songs and a great writer in her own right. Cannot wait to talk to Kylie again here on the show. Again, thanks to Bangtail Whiskey, MitchMacs.com, and our good friends over at Hank Jr. Productions for all their support. All right, so for this, Paul, it's just rapid fire, and it's always a good thing. We get to know you more on a personal basis, and the good thing is no right or wrong answers out there. So first one out of the gate I'm going to do is kind of when you get home, you've had that rough day, whether it be just performing, music, or the kids, or whatever it is. What's a go-to drink or beverage for you, alcoholic or non-alcoholic? And then what's kind of the go-to food? Is it takeout? Is it something you or your wife cook to sit down for dinner?
I'm a Dr. Pepper guy from way back, man. I think my parents put Dr. Pepper in our sippy cups. That's my go-to always. Man, kind of go-to food. We eat a lot of venison around here. We eat a lot of beef around here. As far as we last night was our grill night. So I try to grill for 4 or 5 days. Grill enough meat that we can eat on it for 4 or 5 days. So we had a couple of ribeyes, had some sirloin, had some backstrap in there, and then some chicken breasts. So that's sort of the main staple around.
It's one of my favorite things is that chicken breast. And, of course, venison, you got to love when it comes to that, man, just getting different cuts of that, too. Last time I shot a deer was an Axis in 2018. I lived off that thing for a good 8 months to a year and ate it all.
Nice.
Ground meat, everything was great. So,
I've never had Axis.
Oh, man. We got to get together, brother. We got to talk about a deer hunt because I got to get back to Nashville. And, of course, I haven't had the time. What was it, fall of 18, I guess it was, 19, something like that. My brother and I got to go West Texas out there and do some hunting on a ranch. And we surely enjoyed the cut, mixed it with a little pork, and it came out. The ground meat made good chili and good spaghetti. It was
nice.
Making me hungry. It's almost lunchtime here on the show.
Yeah, no doubt.
Which is good. All right. Are you a sweets person? If you are, what's your go-to sweet out there? Pastry.
My go-to sweet. It kind of broke up on that last part. You said go-to sweet, and then
or pastry, or just donut or something like that, or I don't know, chocolate donut. I know for one of mine is what's that one called? Eclair. I love an eclair. So
my favorite donuts. My favorite donut ever is a daylight donut. I grew up north of Oklahoma, and I don't know, there are no daylight donuts in Nashville that I have found, but I'm a Daylight Donuts guy, I guess. I'm not over the top. I don't like chocolate really. I know that's wild, but yeah, if I'm gonna pick a donut, that's the one, Daylight
I like
Donut.
that. I like
Yeah.
that. All right. So many great writers we talked about, you've written songs for, but if there's one in particular right now, and it could be this new wave of talent coming through, or somebody that's old school, and you had a chance to collaborate with, to write a song or to step on stage with, who would you, or what performers or band, it don't have to be a solo artist, it could be a band too, would you kind of pick out there to say, haven't had that collaboration yet, but if I had the chance to, I would pick who?
Man, so as a writer, as a songwriter, I feel like the ultimate for me, either to write with or to have somebody record one of my songs, the ultimate would be a George Strait cut. Even if he never releases another single, that would be. You think of guys like Billy Yates who had a George Jones cut, late in his career, had choices, and I just that type of iconic name. But that would be mine, bucket list type of cut or collaboration. Yeah, George Strait.
I love that. I love that. All right, give me a list of how many you can reel off here as quick as you can. Growing up for you, give me some favorite cartoons and some favorite movies that you kind of enjoyed watching.
Okay, favorite cartoons, man. We're throwing away back. Man, what cartoons did I watch as a kid? I guess I remember watching like the typical Disney stuff. We recently we showed the kids Flintstones the other night, and I can remember my parents showing me Flintstones. Like, this is so my grandpa's era of cartoons. When I was a kid, there was DuckTales. I think I was more of an outside kind of guy. I would go get horseback or whatever as a little kid. I didn't spend my Saturday mornings watching many cartoons, but man, what kind of guy am I anyway? Not watching
all good
cartoons.
I would see him on a Saturday. It was always the Thundercats, the He-Man, the G.I. Joe, the Transformers. It was just a Saturday
thing. G.I. Joes, they were in there for sure.
I was like you. I spent time outside playing ball and, like you said, riding horses and, like I said, taking care of livestock there on the land and all that good stuff too. So I grew up in the country, so I knew all that responsibility and what that entailed, no doubt. What about movies? Even today, what do you find yourself binge watching?
Man, again, with kids, this is so crazy. It has all changed, and by the end of with three of them, my wife and I, this is sort of a running joke and has been for the last year or so. It's like, we haven't been to a movie theater in literally years. So I think this last week we watched Despicable Me.
That's a good one.
The boys love that one. Honestly, it's shifted where I haven't seen an adult movie in I'm going to say a little while anyway.
Yeah, for me, she got stuck on what's this one now? This cartoon with the dogs. Oh, Bluey. It's on Disney Channel. That's one of the ones she's getting.
Bluey. My boys know that one. I've not seen that one yet.
In fact, the theme of the birthday party here in a couple of weeks is Bluey. Actually, we got to have it at my grandma's place, and we're going to do a little, kind of Bluey themed invitation with a piñata and some other things out there. I don't know. The wife's doing all that too. I'm just kind of showing up and go and get things as it be needed.
Yeah. So we have a birthday party this coming weekend. My boys are 2 years and 1 day apart, March 7th and March 8th, and so we're going to have a couple weekends late just due to the calendar. We're having a birthday party this weekend, so it's Tanya was saying, we're gonna have 25 people here. Like, 25 people? What? Really? Okay, all right. So,
well, it's a great story. I know we connected on a personal basis. The music is fantastic out there, and I tell people if they hadn't gotten the albums, you go back to some great music on, like I said, Leather and Won't Have Far to Go, which is another fantastic record. The singles out there, While She's Mine, across all the digital platforms, and definitely get those streaming numbers up. Again, I know it wasn't meant for streaming, but definitely it'll connect with you in certain ways, especially for a lot of parents out there Paul, certainly appreciate the time and the visit here on the show, man. Feel free to come back anytime when the new music comes out, and appreciate your time. And, of course, Jenny's and everybody, 117, and everybody that makes this show possible. Continued success going forward, my friend, and definitely come back anytime.
Well, Brandon, before we go, I know that I've said it earlier in the show, but again, it's guys like you, it's media outlets like yourselves that promote independent country music, and we are grateful. Jenny List, I think she set all this up with you, and so I'm glad you guys made the connection. But again, thank you for doing what you're doing. I know that you're working your tail off. You're a busy guy, and we as independent country music artists, I'm grateful. So thank you very much, and thanks for having me this morning. It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
You got it, my friend. Again, While She's Mine across all the digital platforms, and check him out for some merchandise and all the other good stuff at paulbogart.com. And, of course, if you missed our live version today, you can go back and catch it on, I'm sure, Paul's socials at some point today, and definitely down the line, you guys can tune in. And, I'll give a trivia question out there real quick. It's a giveaway. We have April 2nd coming up. Pedrati's Ranch in San Antonio. We're going to have these guys on the show, Wade Hayes and Rick Trevino, coming up toward the end of March. And the ticket giveaway is for 2 tickets for each artist, meet and greet passes for Wade Hayes, and a prize pack from each artist, courtesy of our good friends over at Full Circle Moments, who I got to meet at CRS in Nashville. So if you can answer the question, who won, and still have a winner, who won the category for Song of the Year at the ACM Awards last week? I need the song title and that artist's name. It shouldn't be very hard. In fact, she's been in the news. She has been in the news for quite some time over the last couple of weeks, and she did that. And she actually had one hell of a performance, and she performed the song on the ACM Awards show. So I'm giving you guys a hint because we do want to get a winner. It's Wade Hayes, Rick Trevino, April 2nd, Pedrati's Ranch in San Antonio, Texas. If you know the answer to that question, Song of the Year and the artist who performed that and who sang that, feel free to leave a comment box. We'll pick a winner. And our good friend over at Full Circle Moments will definitely, Merlene Cox, will pick a winner and give away some prize packs for that show. And check out paulbogart.com and While She's Mine across all the digital platforms. Don't forget at 1:30 today, Emily Ann Roberts going to join us here on the Backstage Pass. We're going to talk about Change My Tune and a whole lot more for another great 90s feel of a country music singer. We'll see you guys at 1:30 for that. Time for lunch here. I know Paul's going to get some. I'm going to get some here on the show. Thanks to MitchMacs, Bangtail Whiskey, and our good friends at Hank Jr. Productions. We'll see you guys at 1:30 with the talented Emily Ann Roberts here. Again, it's the Backstage Pass signing off for now. We'll see you soon.